Some crops, especially woody perennials, things like blueberries or trees, require a different type of soil sampling. So in this situation, we're actually going to collect 2 samples for one crop. We take a surface level sample that's 1 to 2 inches into the soil, and then a subsurface sample, which is between 2 and 8 inches into the soil. So what we've got here is a crop of blueberries. You'll see that the crop has mulch on top, so I'm going to show you kind of how we get underneath that to get the sample. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're sampling where those roots are so that we know what nutrients those roots are getting. So with these blueberries, because they do have a mulch layer, the first thing that we're going to do is clear that off. We're also going to try to get in close to the plant so that we can get to where the roots are or where they're going to be, but we're going to try to not damage those roots too. Okay, so now we've gotten through this mulch layer and we're down to where the soil actually is. So for this process, you'll need 2 buckets, one for this surface sample and one for the subsurface sample. When I take this surface sample, I usually use a trowel just because it's a little bit easier. I'm really only putting this trowel down 1 to 2 inches. I'm going to cut the other side and I'm going to lift this up. And this 1 to 2 inches is what my sample would end up being. So I'm going to remove this mulch because we don't need to worry about testing that. I'm going to take out this wormy and put him back in his home. In there would be kind of our surface sample. I would put this into a bucket that I've clearly labeled surface so that I can keep those separate. So now I need to get to that subsurface sample. I'm going to use the same hole because I've already cleared off those top 2 inches. I'm going to stick my trowel down even farther. And I'm going to spin it around a little bit, pick it straight up, and you'll see how the soil's kind of changed because I've gotten even farther down. So we've got our kind of still what's left of that top layer of topsoil and then down a little bit farther. So this probably went down approximately 6 to 8 inches. This would be considered our subsurface sample. So we would put that in a bucket that's labeled subsurface. So for products like blueberries where we already have them planted, I would probably go around and sample a handful near the bushes where they're already growing. But if it's a new crop of blueberries or like a tree that you're getting ready to plant, it's a little bit easier because there's nothing that you're trying to work around to sample. So again, we're going to take the surface sample and the subsurface sample and make sure we keep those separate, and we'll show you how to fill out that paperwork in just a minute.